It didn't seem possible. What could have made a boy do such a wonderful thing? No one in our town knew where the Countess had come from. She spoke English in a way that told us she was not an American. Her house was large and she had many servants, so we knew that she must be rich. But she never had friends in to dinner. She made it clear that when she was at home she wanted to be left alone. She became a public figure only when she stepped outdoors. Even then she was a public figure, chiefly to us children. We lived in fear of her. The Countess always carried a walking stick. She used it to help her as she walked along and also as a means of punishing any of us who seemed to her to need it. At one time or another most of the children who lived nearby seemed to need punishing. By running fast and being watchful, I had kept out of reach of her stick. But one day, when I was 13, I took the short way home through her garden. In a moment I felt the end of her stick on my head. I wasn't hurt, but I quickly backed away out of her reach.
"Young man, I want to talk to you,"
she said. I thought she was going to tell me how bad it was to walk through someone else's garden to treat it like a public road. But as she looked at me, half smiling, she seemed to change her mind. Her questions.
"Don't you live down the street in that greenhouse?"
she asked.
Yes, ma'am.
"Do you take care of your lawn? Water it? Clip it? Mow it?"
Yes, ma'am.
"Good. I've lost my gardener. Be at my house Thursday morning at 7, and don't tell me you have something else to do. I've seen you on Thursday mornings doing nothing at all."
When the Countess gave an order, it was carried out. I had to be there on Thursday morning. I went over the whole lawn 3 times with a mower before she was satisfied. And then she made me get down on my hands and knees to look for weeds until my knees were as green as the grass. At last, she called me up to the front door.
"Well, young man, how much do you want for your day's work?"
I don't know. Maybe 50 cents.
"Is that what you think you are worth?"
Yes, ma'am. About that.
"Very well. Here's the 50 cents you say you are worth. And here is the $1.50 more that I have earned by making you work. Now I'm going to tell you how you and I are going to work together. There are as many ways of mowing a lawn as there are people. A mowing job may be worth anything from a penny to $5. Let's say that a $3 job would be just what you have done today, except that you would do it all by yourself. A $4 job would be so good that you would have to be a fool to work that hard on a lawn. A $5 loan is, well, it's impossible, so we'll forget about that. Now then, each week I'm going to pay you what you think you are worth."
I left with my $2, richer than I had ever been in my whole life. I decided that I was going to get $4 from her next week. But I failed to reach even the $3 mark. My wool began to grow weak the second time around her lawn.
$2 again. That kind of work puts you close to losing your job, young man.
Yes, ma'am. But I'll do better next week.
A $3.50 man. Somehow, I did do better. The last time around the lawn I was very tired, but I found that I could force myself to go on. In the wonder of that new feeling, I thought that I was quite right in asking the Countess for $3. Each Thursday for the next 4 or 5 weeks I earned either $3 or $3.50. I knew her lawn better now. I knew the places where the ground was a little high or a little low. I knew the places where the grass should be clipped short or left a little long to make a better edge along the garden. And I knew now what a $4 job on the lawn would be like. Each week I decided to do just that kind of job. But by the time I had earned my $3 or $3.50, I was too tired to work beyond that point.
"You look like a $3.50 man,"
she would say as she handed me the money.
Yes, ma'am.
I would answer, too happy at the sight of the money to remember that I had ever hoped to do a better job.
Well, don't feel too bad.
She would comfort me.
There are only a few people in the world who could do a $4 job.
Even if it killed me. Her words were a comfort at first. But then, without my knowing quite what was happening to me, they were no longer a comfort. Instead, they made me angry. Angry enough to decide to do that $4 job, even if it killed me. I could see myself dying on the lawn, with the Countess on her knees at my side. I could see her handing me the $4 with tears in her eyes, begging me to forgive her for having thought I couldn't do the job. One Thursday night, when I was trying to forget that day's failure and get some sleep, the truth came to me. I sat up in bed in my excitement. It was the $5 job I had to do, not the $4 one. I had to do the job that seemed impossible. I knew just how hard it would be too. I would have to do something about the worm hills in the lawn. The Countess might not have seen them yet because they were so small. But in my bare feet I knew all about them. I could go on clipping the garden edges just as I had been doing. But I knew what a $5 job demanded. I must line up each edge carefully with a measuring stick and string, and then clip right along that string. And there were other things that only I and my bare feet knew about. It didn't kill me. I started the next Thursday by smoothing down the worm hills with a heavy roller. After 2 hours of that, I was ready to give up for the day. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I was already gone. It was only by chance that I found out how to get my will back again. Sitting under a tree for a few minutes after finishing the rolling, I went to sleep. When I woke up minutes later, the lawn looked so good through my fresh eyes and felt so good under my bare feet that I wanted to go on with the job. I did this for the rest of the day, sleeping a few minutes every hour to get back my strength. Between naps I mowed 2 times down the length of the lawn and 2 times across it, until it all looked just as smooth as silk. Then I dug around every tree. With my hands I broke up the large pieces of earth and smoothed them down. I finished by clipping carefully around the edges. Then I clipped the grass between the stones of the front walk. The clippers were so heavy that my hands began to bleed. At last, about 8 o'clock that evening, after I had run home at 5 for something to eat, it was all finished. I was so pleased with myself that I didn't even feel tired when I went up to the door of her house.
Well, what is it today?
She asked.
$5.
I said, trying to look as though I thought nothing of it.
$5. You mean $4, don't you? I told you that a $5 loan isn't possible.
Yes, it is.
I said.
I just did it.
Well, young man, the first $5 loan in history must be looked at.
We walked about the lawn together in the last light of evening. Even I was surprised by the impossible thing that I had done.
Young man,
she said, putting her hand on my arm with great gentleness.
What made you do such a wonderful thing?
I didn't know why. Even if I had known, I could not have explained it in the excitement of hearing that I had done it. Doing the impossible.
I think I know.
She continued.
How you felt when this idea came to you of doing something that I told you was impossible. It made you very happy when it first came, then, a little afraid. Am I right?
She could see that she was right by the surprised look on my face.
I know how you felt because the same thing happens to almost everybody. They feel all at once that they want to do some great thing. They feel a wonderful happiness. But then it passes because they say, no, I can't do that. It's just impossible. Whenever something in you says it's impossible, remember to take a careful look. See if it isn't really God asking you to grow a foot or a mile so that you may come to a fuller life.
She put $5 into my hand.
You have been a great man today. It is not often that a man is paid for greatness. You are being paid because you are fortunate and because I like you.
Since that time, some 25 years ago, I have sometimes felt myself at an end with nothing before me. Then all at once I remembered that word, impossible. And I have experienced again the excitement inside me. I have known that the only possible way lay through the heart of the impossible.